And the machine's got side shift, which appealed to us, which makes it very easy for inter-row sewing. We just slide it across and we chuck another disc assembly on the opposite side. And when we're inter-row sewing, the outside discs are running on each other, so they're doubling up. But for the ease of working it and with different operators, it just makes it so simple rather than going end to end and changing, side shifting it every time you get to every end. This is Ross Milne, Bayback Industries, one of his disc assemblies. This is a bar the first year we used it. We found the air system a bit complicated, so we changed a fair bit, opened it all up, made it a lot simpler, and it's been working well. And that was this year. That was just sewing some beans into the wheat stubble this year. That's with our current outfit. And this is I was just going to a few crops on 15-inch. It was a pretty big step for us in our area. Certainly with the talk of the district. Like I said, everyone's probably 9-10 inch. And there's even still a lot less than that. The first year we had a lot of trouble collecting old rows, setting up, so we ended up sowing a lot of our paddocks crossways just to get a lot better seed depth. We were struggling. Once we connected old rows, we were getting very ordinary seed placement. So we sort of compromised the first year on setting up, but once the second year came around, then we were able to set everything up the way we wanted. So it was a bit of a compromise. And we've certainly found 15 inches worked well. Comparing ourselves to neighbours, and that we certainly are well up there with the yields, and we haven't seen any disadvantage. That was some wheat. That was some barley last year. That's our canola. We're still sowing our canola on 15 inch. We haven't ventured out to 30 inch. Only because on York Peninsula, our winds it is a very windy spot, and we're probably not game enough to leave it standing out there. So we're at this stage, just intend just to stick on windrowing. Our stubble management, which has been harped on a lot about today, it's just crucial to good seed placement, especially now with the disc seeder. We've noticed it a lot. Where we haven't got it right, we've paid the penalty big time. And we've just found over the last few years, 30 centimetres, the stubble height, leaving that at harvest seems to work best for us. And since having the power caster on John Deere header, it's been a lot easier to get a lot even spread, and we can change on the go. It's certainly worked well compared to what we had before. Just an observation we've made, all right, disc can get through anything, but it's the seed placement is just, it seems to be compromised a lot. With our old time system, we used to be able to bulldoze through, and it used to be at a more relative even seed placement, like it was around the mark a lot more, whereas a disc seems to sit up on top, or if you've got a thick residue, it just doesn't penetrate it properly, and you can do a lot more damage pretty quick with a disc if you don't get it right. There's just a power cast on our header, harvesting this year. Last year. Issues with the disc seeder. Obviously the stubble management is absolutely crucial, and we have to get an even spread. If discs hit the old stubble rows or thick residue, seed placement establishment is very ordinary. There's a lot more maintenance, more moving parts, but when we're up and operating, got the machine working well, it's in a league of its own. Now I just chuck this one in because often as farmers we can be a bit narrow focused sometimes, we get in our zone a bit, but we just need to keep challenging ourselves to look outside square, and One thing I've learned over the years is never to say never. And that leads us on to what I was going to talk about next, which is controlled traffic. Probably 6 years ago, I can remember saying we'll never do that. It's a waste of time here. I can understand why they're doing it up in Queensland, the deep black soils and that, but I can't see any benefit here. And anyway, now we're doing it. So, and how many farmers do you hear that? They always say, I'll never do that, I'll never do this, and a couple of years later they're out there doing it. So last year was our first year with controlled traffic. As our soils have improved over the years with direct drilling, compaction has begun to be a problem again, and with zero-till, compaction is only going to get worse. As the old saying goes, roads are meant for driving on and soft soils are meant for growing crops. Stop compaction and let the water infiltrate. And after much thought, we decided to set up a tram lines on 35 feet, or 10.67 metres. At that time, our header front was already 35 feet. And we just thought it was a good balance. We figured 40 feet's probably pushing it a bit with a spread. And we just felt probably 30 was a bit small. So for us, it's worked well. Now most of our machinery is now on 3 metre wheel spacings, 120 inch. With the bar on 15 inch, 120 inch works well. And our rotation is a legume cereal, legume canola cereal. Well, that's what we sort of aim to do. We just want to keep mixing all our crops up, let them work the soil, encourage the roots to get deeper through all the different root systems, and basically work that hard pan that we've created over the years. And we're pretty fortunate to be able to have that rotation in our area. I know in some areas that might not be possible, so I'd just acknowledge that. With controlled traffic, we just seem to be travelling over our paddocks more and more these days with the sprayer, spreading fertiliser, and equipment's just getting bigger and heavier. So it just makes sense, really. It takes a lot of time to work. Like, it took us a long time to work out how we're going to set it up, but now we've done it all and done all the hard yards. We're very happy and it works extremely well. And it creates many opportunities because the equipment lines up, which I like the sprayer, which I'll talk about in a minute, with lining jets up in between rows and doing trials, like was stated earlier. And if you can get into situations, say harvest, you have to work harvest and all goes down the ground, you know exactly where all the rows are, and I guess you can put crop lifters in certain areas. Just gives you so many opportunities. And this is just pictures I've taken of our controlled traffic system since we've been doing it. It's obviously the header and where the spray did last year. And with our chaser bin at the moment, we're having to pull off the tram lines, but hopefully in the near future we'll be able to rig up a system that we can stay on those tram lines. This was spraying last week, our canola. And this leads on to our self-propelled sprayer, which we purchased last year. We set all the nozzles up on 15-inch spacings to allow us to spray in between the stubble rows. And farmers claim 25 to 30% efficacy because you're just not getting any shading with the rows. And to us, just controlled traffic makes sense. And for people that aren't thinking about it, I would recommend to consider it with future machinery purchases, to try and line up machinery so down the track, if you do change your mind, it's not going to take a lot to implement. As we all know, there's a lot of capital tied up in machinery these days, and you don't want to go changing it too often.